We're here with Mark Emery, Mobile Practice Lead for Definition 6, straight off the stage from the IAB Mobile Marketplace. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, it's good to be here.
IAB just released statistics today showing that marketers aren't often going to the media or creative agencies, but when they do, they're really satisfied with the experience. So I'm wondering what you think is going on here.
I think it's good creative. I mean, for a long time, companies would go directly to a publisher, directly to a network, and buy inventory and have the publisher create splash pages or destinations for where that ad inventory goes to. And I think increasingly those types of buys are getting really, really poor results. And so that's when we're starting to see the introduction of the agency as not only a conduit to media buys, but also a creative assistance.
When you're working with a client, what specifically are they asking for in terms of mobile?
I think more than anything what they're looking for is an overall strategy that dovetails with some of the other, not only interactive, but other traditional things that they're doing in marketing. And that's incidentally, or coincidentally, where we see the most successful campaigns. Whenever they're done, not in isolation, but as contextualized with the rest of their marketing spend, that's where we start to see, obviously, the really good performance.
Are publishers providing you, and ad networks as well, providing what they need to increase the budget they're receiving from advertisers? If not, what do they need to be doing differently?
Mobile is still an evangelical exercise with most of our clients. So the more publishers and ad networks are able to equip us to have really good conversations with marketing people and advertisers in terms of case studies and ROI and metrics and expectations and level setting and benchmarking, I think those are all things that will help us ultimately help our clients.
Are you able to standardize it all in the fragmented marketplace, how you approach a marketer issue in terms of, are you always finding new metrics, going to new tech providers, approaching different publishers or ad networks, or is there a streamlined approach that you have?
I think at least from a technical perspective, we are seeing some standardization, which is critical. I mean, increasingly the development environments for mobile are things that a company may already have in-house, and certainly an agency would already have the ability to do some of these things. So from that perspective, standardization is definitely good and key and happening. But from a strategy perspective, I think we run into trouble when we start talking about standardization, and then it becomes an exercise of simply porting what works in the digital world into mobile. I think that's a bad thing.
When a client approaches you to plan a cross-medium campaign, when does mobile become involved? Is it upfront? Is it later on? And is that where you feel it should be?
Increasingly, it's moving up, right? We have it used to be the third screen, and some people call it the second screen, and some people call it the first screen. I think if you want my personal opinion, it's definitely the first screen. I mean, I think Simon set it up there on stage. It's the first thing that people reach for when they wake up in the morning, and the last thing they put down at night. So just because it's small doesn't mean it's not useful from an advertising perspective.
And then in terms of creative, your Definition 6 talks a lot about storytelling. How does mobile marketing fit into a larger brand story?
Oh, that's a really good question, and I think some of it gets back to sort of traditional media, and by traditional I don't just mean print and out of home, but I also mean maybe television, right? Mobile is often a really, really, really good handshake in the opening of a conversation. So you have this traditional media that is created and broadcast for a wide audience, and mobile is a way to introduce a level of personalization and individuality to sort of establish a relationship. So wherever possible, I think mobile used as a handshake, as a way of introducing a brand to a consumer in a personalized way, is a good use of mobile.
When a client comes to you, they want something in mobile. How do you advise whether it's going to be a browser-based app, just simply a mobile website, a downloadable app, or a tablet app? How do you advise people?
That's a really good question, and I'm happy to report that what I'm hearing less now is we have to have an iPhone app or we have to have an iPad app. I think marketers are starting to wake up and realize that even as these devices become more and more ubiquitous, they're not sufficiently ubiquitous to overly fall in love with any one particular platform. So I'm having to less and less have conversations about you don't need to be thinking about an iPad app because only 2% of your audience uses one and whatnot. So I think that's kind of a critical phenomenon that's currently underway.
Great, thank you very much.